Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Let's start with today's information. Earlier this week, President Donald Trump announced plans to scrap the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program that has protected nearly 800,000 young men and women from deportation who entered the United States illegally as children. In a statement, Mexico's Secretariat of Foreign Affairs said that in addition to the assistance it already carries out through its program named Somos Mexicanos, it will also offer a special job board in Mexico for young people, which will be available through consulates, plus credit programs and scholarships in Mexico and other countries, as well as access to education and affiliation to Seguro Popular. The Mexican government will provide comprehensive and individualized consular and legal assistance to any Mexican dreamer who requests it, particularly in their legal representation, the Foreign Ministry confirmed. In addition, the federal agency said that although U.S. immigration policy is pro-population, it must take into account the thousands of young Mexicans living in their country, who make up 80% of dreamers. Former U.S. President Barack Obama approved the Daca program by decree in 2012. The removal of Daca coincides with Trump's restrictive immigration policy and other measures criticized by congressmen and Hispanic organizations, such as the recently granted pardon to Joe Arpaio. In other news, the latest round of Nafta talks concluded earlier this week without any major breakthroughs or agreements, fueling doubts among observers that a deal will be difficult to reach this year. While negotiators have now initially addressed all major topics, they've yet to agree on any major contentious issue, and the three countries are a long way from striking a deal on any individual Nafta chapter. On some topics, discussion has only been verbal, with no specific text proposal submitted, officials said. Mexico's low wages have become an increasingly hot topic of debate. The Associated Press reported that the United States has said it wants to tighten labor standards in the 23-year-old trade pact. But Mexico has drawn plants and investments by capitalizing on low wages and weak union rules, and Mexican business and labor leaders appear to be resistant to any attempt to tighten labor standards or ensure that Mexican wages rise. Canadian auto workers leader Jerry Diaz said over the weekend that wages in the three nations under Nafta should be equalized. But a top Mexican union leader, Carlos Aceves del Olmo, has said that equalizing wages is a pipe dream, claiming wages in Mexico can't be compared to US and Canadian salaries. All three nations have been seeking an unusually quick timeline for Nafta, and two government officials expressed doubt that a deal could be reached by the country's target date of December, based on the current pace of progress. Peter Clark, a trade strategist and former Canadian official, said they can't possibly finish. The Americans haven't even started negotiating yet. And Jerry Diaz, a Canadian Labour leader, said he'd be shocked if it gets done before Christmas. Moving on. Anglo-Dutch oil major Royal Dutch Shell opened its first gas station in Mexico on Tuesday, adding to a growing list of foreign-branded pumps in a market still dominated by the green-colored outlets of state-owned company Pemex. Following a 2013 constitutional energy overhaul that ended Pemex's decades-long monopoly, private companies can now brand gas stations and sell non-Pemex brand gasoline and diesel, as well as import fuels. The opportunities are huge for the private sector in the fuel market of Latin America's second biggest economy, with Mexico now one of the world's biggest gasoline consumers and the top foreign importer of US gasoline. Shell said in a statement that it plans to open an unspecified number of additional service stations and that investment in Mexico's fuel sector could reach about $1 billion over the next decade if current market conditions are maintained. The company's inaugural gas station, which also features a convenience store, is located in a northwestern suburb of Mexico City. Shell, which in June won a shallow water exploration and production contract along with France's Total, operates more than 43,000 gas stations in some 80 countries worldwide. And finally, let's turn to the markets. The Mexican peso decreased 0.48% to 17.7 from 17.78 in the previous trading session. IPC Mexico increased 214 points, or 0.43%, to 50,516 on Wednesday, September the 6th, from 50,301 in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time,